Wasabi guys, I just wanted to give an update on some of the newest spoilers from Hour of Devastation. I'm only going to go over some of the noteworthy invocations, seeing as some of the other ones may not be that valuable or relevant, and plus they already exist, they're just reprints, so most of you already know what these cards are anyway. But we have Doomsday with a pretty familiar art. If you don't already know, that's the same art I use for my channel banner. But it's a very fun card in Commander. 3 black mana. Yeah, it's not as flexible, but it's so awesome in Commander, being able to put the 5 cards you want the most and just say, okay, these are the last cards in my deck. That's very funny, and the artwork's pretty cool too. Another artwork with nickel bullets on it is Omniscience. This version is pretty epic looking. I mean, the original art wasn't too bad, but I think Nicol Bolas is a better representation of Omniscience than Jace's. Just saying. And we have Thoughtseize, which looks absolutely cool. I believe that is the newest demon. I believe this is either the Archfiend of Ifnir, or this is the demon that Liliana specifically wanted to go to Amonkhet to deal with. Either way, pretty cool artwork, very much like Demonic Tutor, if you remember that artwork with Liliana and Kothafed. Very similar. Just awesome. I love it so far. Then we have something called Pride Sovereign, a cat, 3 mana, green, 2/2. Pride Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control, which would be cool if this was a set where we got a legendary cat creature that synergized well with cats. We could finally play cat tribal. It has an activated ability of white and tap to exert Pride Sovereign, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with a lifelink. I think this could see play in standard, maybe. It's not as good as it would be if the ability wasn't exert, so if you could abuse it more often than not, but the fact that it creates 2 cats, I mean, that's pretty good. Can't really discount that too much. Just not certain how much play it's going to see. Then we have a 3 mana artifact, Mirage Mirror, with the pay 2 activated ability. Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, or enchantment, or land until end of turn. That's pretty good to have in standard. I don't know exactly the extent of that, but it's definitely interesting. Then we have Ramanop Hydra, 4 mana for a Hydra Snake with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample, a 3/3. Ramanop Hydra gets +1/+1 as long as you control a desert. It also gets +1/+1 as long as you have a desert card in your graveyard. So narrow as hell. Pretty much just a limited card here. I don't really see any other purpose for it. And then we have Neheb the Eternal, who, if you thought was a badass before, this artwork looks just awesome. I mean, I love that artwork. The spear is just epic, and you have just the background there with the sun between the horns. It just goes to show like how beautiful this set is becoming through destruction and chaos. It just looks awesome. He's 5 mana. He's mono red this time, which is kind of odd. I'm not entirely sure what that indicates. But he has Afflict 3, so whenever creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. So you probably don't want to block him unless you absolutely have to, or unless you have a creature that can deal with it. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Immediately, that reminds me of Rakdos, Lord of Riots. Pretty good fit. Has some synergy with Rakdos. Definitely think that it could fit in that deck, but more obviously it would probably fit better into either a zombie tribal build or the other Neheb deck in a Minotaur tribal. But it's kind of confusing. I don't really understand why, if he's a zombie this time, he's mono red instead of Rakdos. Wouldn't he still be black in some way if he was a zombie, or if he became a zombie? Kind of confusing to me. Let me guys know what you think about that. We have a pretty cool god in the Locust god now. One confusing thing is it doesn't really indicate Izzet colors to me. When I would think of Locust, I would typically think of maybe Dimir colors, because he does look kind of destructive, and I don't know. Doesn't really remind me of red anyway, but the blue, I can guess. I could see blue because they're all flyers, and they're all flyers, and flying is typically a blue thing. So he's a 4/4 flyer himself, which is awesome for 6 mana. Is it colors? Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. That's pretty awesome. Right there, I mean, is it colors are pretty good in Commander, and even in Standard, I think this would be a very awesome card. Whenever you draw a card, you get a 1/1. I mean, this is even better than, I would say, Chasm Skulker, which a couple years ago, or a few years ago, whenever M15 was, that was a pretty fun card to play with. Interacted with card draw triggers. This is even better because you get 1/1 flyers. You don't have to wait for someone to exile it or anything. Whenever he dies, you return at the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So very much like the Scorpion God, but this also has a activated ability, 4 mana, 2 generic, and is it to draw a card, then discard a card. So not efficient, not too efficient with the costly activated ability, but there are ways to draw cards in Commander very easily aside from this. And as you can see, there's also the invocation version of the Locust God. The artwork doesn't really, it looks kind of bad. It doesn't really interest me at all. I would definitely stick with just trying to get a foil version of the non-invocation. That definitely looks awesome, especially if you want to get it for your Commander decks or something like that. Then we have Fraying Sanity. With enchant player, at the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the total number of cards drawn this turn. Maybe good in Nekasar, I definitely can see that. In Mill, you don't typically do that as often as you would in, say, Nekasar builds with red, especially if you have a ton of wheel effects. This could be definitely a hilarious card, especially the fact that it's each end step. That's deadly. So I would definitely put this in every single Nekasar deck if you guys have them. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you enjoyed these spoilers. Let me know what you think about the set. That's it. That's all I have. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. I'm signing off. Thanks for watching. Void Mage Gamer.